Good morning, guys. Walter and Rowley, real estate mentor. I'm here this morning with a bunch of agents and wholesalers in the room. One of the things that I found in real estate investing is that it's not necessarily just agents and wholesalers. It's really just people looking for sellers, right? Everybody can find and build a buyer's list. It's very easy to find the buyers of property. Finding the seller of property is the much more complicated piece. So we were going around the room before we started the video, and everybody was, mentioning the one thing stopping them. We heard the word action, we heard time management, we heard fear of making a mistake, fear of failure. So one of the pieces that I talk about early on in the book, Broke to $250,000, which I wrote, which you should buy, is how I was broke because I wasn't doing enough of the right things, right? And when I made the $250,000, when I first started making that first $250,000, it was because I moved on from deciding I'm going to do all of these different things. I said I'm just going to do one thing and be the master of that one thing. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was literally just buying property. I was going to become very good at buying property, and that's what got my net worth to the $250,000. And what got my income to a $250,000 was being very good as an agent, helping people buy real estate. That was the key, right? That got me to that point. It was a combination of a sale of a property, and it was a combination of like one property that made $100,000, so that was an easy kill. And then it was making another 150 through, 40 through my passive income through my rental properties, and 110 as an agent. So that first $250,000 year of income was a combination of 3 different strategies. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But the net worth came from one strategy, and that was just buy, right? That was it. So, and if I could go back and say, which one did I pay the least amount of taxes on? Buying, right? I got crushed in taxes from being an agent. I got crushed in taxes doing the flip. It wasn't that bad because it was only 15% because it was capital gains. But if I do that consistently, they'll crush me because they'll get self-employment tax, right? Same with wholesaling, same with being an agent. You get destroyed on the taxes from working from the active income. The investments are very, very low tax. So even though they made the least amount of money, I got to keep most of it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, building up to that point was difficult. When I say difficult, I mean time consuming, because to buy a bunch of property is pretty easy. Ron and I could go tomorrow and buy 10 houses. Mm-hmm. And within 3 months, we'd have 10 houses closed and we'd be owning them. Cash flowing those and churning them like past the point where they don't make money to the point where they do make money, that's effort. There's a lot of effort involved. We call it stabilizing. And we don't talk about stabilization enough, but it seems to be, it's a topic that's coming around this week. Have you not noticed it?
Yeah.
So stabilizing property has been just something that everybody seems to be talking about this week, and even at the event last night, he was talking about how long it takes to stabilize a building. And last night they were talking about 150 unit buildings, 250 unit buildings. Nick Aylerud got in a syndication deal, and the stabilization on a building of that size is way longer than the stabilization of a 3-family. And even our 10 unit took us about a year to stabilize. It was way longer than, 6 months is what usually takes us to do a 3-family, something small. But the 10 unit took us a lot longer, just because it's like, man, we can't do anything to that tenant until these 3 units are fixed, and we're holding off, waiting for payment, waiting for the units to be done, putting a new tenant in. Now we're going after those other units. And unless you come with a big chunk of money for the stabilization, you're kind of in this hold pattern where it's like, all right, let's just wait. Okay, we're gonna get them next time. Don't you worry. We're gonna get that fixed. We're gonna get that raised. We're gonna move that tenant out. Right now, we're doing probably our final eviction on that building because we found somebody who was questionable character. Literally paying, not an issue as far as anything financial. Mm-hmm. Just that they were a gang member and bringing that to the building. Mm-hmm. And so it's a 10-unit building, and we're the biggest building on the street, so it's kind of our ethical duty to make sure that we're not bringing that to the community.
Yeah, definitely.
So pain in the butt for us, because we're like, ooh, they pay. They do pay. Yeah. But they're not the right tenant for our building, not the right tenant for our tenants. So it was just we had a small incident, but it's been a couple of small incidences, and we're not dumb enough to wait for something big to happen.
Exactly.
Right? So going back to it, wholesaling is a phenomenal way to get in the industry because, Andrew, what's the biggest problem that agents have too?
Well, finding deals.
Finding deals. Exactly. Ron, what's the biggest problem we as investors have? Finding deals. Mm-hmm. Right? I'll give you the secret as to why we train people. The reason that we built the training company is to find deals for ourselves, right? So what is a wholesaler looking for after you get the deal, right? We're not smart. We didn't invent the wheel, I promise.
Why does Stan Miller go out and do it? It's the same thing. Right?
Yeah, dude, that's some.
You know, like, we're just like, hey, if we teach these guys how to find deals,
Yep.
who do they have to sell to? The biggest investor they know.
Yep.
Right. So
That's awesome, man.
So we're just trying to educate and teach so that we can just buy more property.
Okay.
So everybody has a stage, right? So even the stuff that we're buying right now, everybody knows we're buying a 21 condo unit building. We're buying this complex, and the plan is sell off a few, keep a few, or sell them all off and roll them into different properties, 1031 of the bigger properties. So that strategy is complex. It's not something you jump into right in the beginning. So we know, and this was a situation where at an event, somebody gave us the deal because he couldn't work it. Told us, like, I don't know how to do this. There's no way I could work this deal. For us, we're like, wow, we don't know how to do it either, but this is pretty cool, and it's totally within our financial realm.
Yep, definitely.
So you go up in increments. You guys, Grant Cardone.
Yep.
All right, yeah.
10 times, baby.
10x. So Grant, he's always talking about increments of income.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just, and I found it. Read the book. You'll see the same.
I'm definitely gonna get this book, man.
All right, I got a copy for you today. No worries.
I
got one in the car. So, like, you read the book, and I'm talking about the same thing. I'm like, okay, I made money here, and then I learned how to make it in this big spurt, like just out of nowhere. It was like suddenly we jumped up.
Yeah.
I was telling Andrew last night, like, I don't know if I told you my lowest month of income in the last 4 years is $6,000. That's me, like, crying. Like, that's me, like, man, like, where was the money this month, right?
Yeah.
My highest was last year's $300,000 in 1 month. Now, I don't want to make you feel like that's what I do every single month, but what it is like, we go through these moments of, we take on big projects, and we don't take on a lot of projects at a time, 3 max. We'll take on a project, and then we don't get paid for a year, right? So we're like, waiting, doing our work, putting the effort in, and then 1 or 2 or 3 close all in one shot, and we happen to have 3 close in 1 month. Yeah. So it was like, everything got paid off, everything got, we got a little money back, and then we reinvested back into the business. Yeah. And that's one thing we're so crazy about, is reinvesting back in the business. Yeah. So I wanna switch gears here and shift over to getting clarity, right? So we have the buyer's training event tonight, right? Buyer's training seminar. Will you be there? Will you be there? Because if you're looking to buy real estate, you got to be trained. It's not a simple strategy to just purchase real estate in this market. We are at a high end of the market, and it makes sense to get the education on how to do it the right way. Because you should be buying. We're buying, right? You should be buying still. You should always be buying. The only time you don't buy real estate is when you're about to die, right? In which case, and you got nobody else to pass it along to. But you should always be buying real estate. The key to real estate investing is don't wait to buy real estate and wait. I thought I was buying at the height when I started buying in 2013. I swear. Like, I was like, well, the market crashed in 08, and it's 2013 now. Like, should I buy? Like, I don't know. The market, it's got to turn again. So the entire time I've been buying, I thought we were at the height of the market. And you'll hear me every single year. This could be, this could be the end. This could be the one. We buy everything knowing it could be. We buy absolutely everything knowing that if it turned tomorrow, we're still cash flow. We can hold everything we're holding. These 21 units, if it turned tomorrow, we're like, yep, we just shift things, we do what we've always done, we stabilize, we get the rents up, we manage the tenants, build relationships, no big deal. And if it doesn't, we're gonna sell every single one of those condos. Yeah, right? Exactly. We talked about it, we're gonna make $100,000 every time we sell one. So, what I do, we sold one condo for the next 21 years. There's $2 million, right? We could just guarantee ourselves income for the next 5, 10 years, whatever we want to do. Right, as long as we're just selling one of those a year, that's $100,000, right? Simple money. And we'll pay only capital gains on it because they're rental properties that we're just using. Exactly. And then we sell another one and roll that in 1031 into something else, 100,000 into a 8 unit or something. That is the strategy, right? You got to get clarity on what you want, right? What do you want end game, right? What is your portfolio supposed to look like end game? Yeah. For us, we just want to hold paper on $12 million. Holding paper on $12 million means at 8% interest means we're making $1 million a year passive income. That's us as a strategy. And the end game, whatever it takes to get there, is the strategy. Now, clarity on where we're going. Originally, it was, what was our units number? Did we really talk about it? 500 units?
Yeah, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, so we talked about it, like, oh, let's have 100 units by the end of 2020. And the goal was to get to 500 units. 500 units still gives us a job. It still gives us a job for us to go and do and keep operating. Yeah. And so we'll be at 42 units by the end of October. So it's like we could easily hit this goal, just double what we have right now, and continue to do what we've done. And at the end of it, we would have 500 units, which is a job, right? Like it's not a crazy job. Well, it's 500 units, it's a crazy job, yeah. But it's not like flipping, right? Like this is money that comes in every month.
Exactly.
So let me dial back in another direction. So when it comes to building passive income, right? Think about when you're building a business for yourself. I told Andrew this last night, right? There's a lot of things that make money all the time. Cell phone, right? Whatever you pay for this. I pay $55 for this one. I pay $110 for that one. And every single month it comes out, no matter what. Then you got utility bills. Those come out every month. You've got Pandora is taking $15 from me every month, right? Whatever your bills are, Netflix or Amazon Prime, like they're pulling their money monthly, right? They're smart, right? The grocery store, we're talking about as consumable products, right? The grocery store, they know they got you on the bread and the milk, right? Every single month, like you got to go in there and whatever you're buying, you have to buy it again next month. It's the same thing, right? Those products are awesome. Cars are not like that, right? Cars are not like consumable. You're not buying it every single month.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the loan is.
Yeah.
The bank gets it, right? The bank understands that people have to have debt. They have to have some sort of bill to pay every single month. When you look at the biggest bill everybody has the biggest bill. What is it? If you look at all your expenses.
Mortgage?
It's your mortgage. It's your rent, right? We're on the business of taking the biggest bill every single month. Now in the beginning, we have a big note on that because the bank is smart. They are also taking the biggest bill every single month, right? But once the bank's cut out of the business, you really become the bank. And now you're collecting the most expensive thing that a person has to have every single month, right? Now the way to keep them coming back is add value. Make sure your units are clean, make sure they're safe, make sure they're the coolest, nicest place for somebody to live in, and people will always want to pay you instead of going somewhere else. People will pay you because you're a decent landlord over a landlord who they don't know, right? A house could be nothing special, but if they like their landlord, I've had people tell me, oh, I'll never leave. And I'm like, yeah, but you're a really good tenant. Like, I would take you. And like, that way I can never leave. I'm like, what, is your landlord giving you a good deal? No, I pay $850, but I just like my landlord. That's why they stay. Just be a decent human being. It goes a long way.
Literally.
Right? So it's knowing that eventually you want to either have a bunch of property. Maybe some people do. My original goal was to have 40 units and be the manager of the 40 units. I just thought like that's how I want to live life. Now I've been exposed to education, I've been exposed to these different pieces, and I'm like, oh, I want to travel the country and just train. Like that's more important to me, right? So, but some people will never hit that. Some people are not stage people. Some people will never get to the point where they want to do this. They just want to have their 40 units and every so often get a call and go over and paint a room or, fix something and get paid to do it, right? My property manager probably makes $50,000-$60,000 off of us a year. What is it?
Easily.
In that, So you figure she's managing 42 units for us.
She's earning that.
She's earning it. She earns every dollar, right? But she's making that just in fees. So it's like he and I look at it. We don't want to do that. Like that's not what we want to do anymore. We have higher paying tasks. But for her, like making $60,000 to manage 40 units, it's not that bad.
Definitely.
Is it making sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So. Step back again. Finding the clarity to what you want is, do I want to manage a bunch of units? Do I want to, because it has to be passive. To me, like if I'm going to teach you guys real estate, I want you to learn retirement. One of the things I talk about in the team is retire in 3 to 5 years. You come on the team, in 3 to 5 years, you're out, right? That's the whole point. I'm not training real estate agents or wholesalers to do real estate and wholesaling their whole lives. These businesses, these jobs are stepping stones. They're designed to make a lot of money and build a lot of connections. The whole point is getting the corridor of real estate. Find out who the lenders are, who the attorneys are, who the contractors are, who the landlords are, the property managers, who the sellers are, who the buyers are. Get the network so that you can build your own business of owning rental property. Or build your own business of being the bank and lending out to people who buy rental property. Or doing flips, whatever it may be that makes you happy. That's the whole point of being a wholesaler or being an agent. That makes sense?
Yes.
They're not an end game. right? Not an end game, and there's certainly not a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
There's no wholesaler who started wholesaling and started making $1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You hear stories.
Yeah.
They don't exist, and if
Yeah.
they do, they are the exception, the only exception.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with agents. I know an agent who makes $1 million a year. He probably makes $2 or $3 million a year, but he has been building it for as long as I've been in real estate. For 3 years longer than I've been in real estate. So this is his 10th year.
Yeah.
So to get to this income level, it's stack, 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 right? Now it's hard to take that away from him because he's built it so much.
Yeah.
But that is how this works, right? He's also probably close to 100 houses. So he owns a lot of rental property. And it's like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? Why is he generating so much so he can get that? So we're all playing the same game. We're all stacking some sort of passive.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all looking to, wealth is built through owning real estate, right? So as you're wholesaling, as you're being an agent, work the clients that you want to be owning, right? So a lot of wholesalers and a lot of agents get in and they start saying, I want to work single families, right? Just going to do the single families. There's a lot of them, right? But in the end, do you ever want to buy the single families? No. Like, I would much rather be an agent or a wholesaler on multifamilies.
Yeah.
Because in the end, like, a deal comes across and I'm looking at it, I look at it enough, I might buy it, right? One of my wholesalers who are teaching right now, Josh, doing a phenomenal job. He got this deal of 11 units under contract for $700,000. He's looking to wholesale for $750. Yeah, nice spread. Gotta make some good money. That's the whole point of the game. As he's looking at it, months go by. I was like, hey, you should get a hard money lender on that just in case, so you can get the next person in and the money's already lined up, right? And as he's going, he's looking at it and he's saying, I can do this. I can buy it myself. And I can make this cash flow. And I'm telling I broke the strategy down for him the other day. I was like, well, what I would do is get rid of the 5 fib, flip the 5, keep the 6s. Flipping that 5 is going to give you those 6s for $300,000. You're going to have two 3 families for $300,000, so 6 units. It's a no-brainer. Those things are worth $250 all day.
Yeah.
And they cash flow so well.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you just keep them? So, but the other 5, like, it needs work. So it's like, well, borrow the money to do the work. Instead of selling as a 5, drop it down to a 4, because 4s sell way better and way faster.
Yeah.
And once you shifted it down to a 4, you put it on the market, sell it, it's gone, you get recapitalized, and you just hold those buildings, refinance at the end, hold the buildings. So you're getting out of the hard money, and you're getting the regular commercial financing. So, like, but he didn't know. Like, he's been hunting for the past month and a half to find a buyer for this. Shopping, trying to find a buyer, when in reality, it makes sense for him to do the project.
Yeah.
I haven't told him. I looked around, I was like, we should probably do the project. This might not be a bad move for us.
Yeah.
Right? But we've learned, we have a cap on how many projects we run at a time. We're doing 21 condos right now.
Yeah.
We're capped. Yeah. We'll wait until this works. Like, I used to get the big eyes and be like, dude, let's do both. Let's raise that mill, raise this mill. We'll do them both at the same time, and that's where we've gotten in trouble in the past. We don't do more than 3 projects at a time. And this condo project is complex enough for us to say we're not taking anything else on.
Yeah.
Because in the past, like, I'll do three families all day, no big deal, right? But this building, we're gonna focus on it, run it. So we've got this big deal flow coming through us, and now it's like, well, I can't take it, but I can teach you how.
Exactly.
And Josh will make good money on this deal.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, just make sure you think, send me something.
Yeah, exactly.
Send me something.
Yeah.
But it's part of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys have not paid me to train them. They pay me on the back end.
Yeah.
And some of them, like, have paid me up front, so it's like, yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
made my money up front. Like,
Yeah,
make your money, man. Like,
exactly.
God bless you.
Yeah. That's how we have been trying to market too. Like, we always tell people when we meet them, like, any deal that gets closed on, we will compensate you at least $1,000. Like, depending on what because we only try to make like $5,000 per wholesale deal.
I'm gonna get that number up.
Wow. Yeah. So,
Might as well be a real estate agent for that number, right?
I know, right? But like, so we've been telling everybody though, like, we'll compensate you, like, any help you give us, like, we'll
I'm gonna say, like, we pay $5,000 if you bring us a deal, so that's
wow.
Yeah, you bring us a deal we buy that we close, $5,000.
But it's gotta be a deal.
It's gotta be a deal. It's gonna be a real deal.
Yeah.
For us, like, we're not gonna look at something if we're not making $70,000. So to pay $5,000 to somebody who's brought us that $70,000 opportunity, absolutely. Save us in the marketing.
Definitely.
we could have spent $5,000 on marketing, and then one of us been, on the phones doing the piece.
Yep.
For one deal. Whereas sending the whole team out training everybody how to do that, like you guys are worth your time. It makes sense to pay you.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Definitely.
Yeah. So clarity, you got to know what you want, right? You got to know what you want in order to start shopping for the right properties. What is the end game? What is 5-10 years from now? If you want to have 40, 50, 100 units, then how do you get there? It's not buying single families, right? If you're shopping for just single families, that to get to that number, then you're in the wrong market, right? Get out of Massachusetts, go to the Midwest, right? Very seriously, this is like, it's common sense that you can't do it here. You can do it in condos, but again, we don't have as many to do it. If you want to do condos, go to Vegas, go to Miami, right? Go to the spots where that market makes sense. So if you're gonna do it, and you're gonna make 100 units here, it's gotta be multis. The only way to get there is through the multifamily market, because the deals take so long to close, and if you're closing 10 single families a year, it's the same as closing 10 six families a year. Same prices and same amount of time to go through the process. If you're closing 10 5 units or 6 units or 10 families, it's the same process as going to close 1 unit. So it makes more sense. We're in this market. It makes more sense for us to stack up units, right? The most prevalent multifamily there is are the 3 families. They are the most prevalent through the entire state. Springfield has more 2 families. It's a weird little demographic. It is. It's strange. Then Holyoke has like 20 unit buildings, which is nuts.
That's good.
There's, Holyoke and there's another one.
Springfield? No.
Springfield wasn't that. Yeah.
It's near Westover.
It was out in that market though. Yeah, it was out in that market. Have you and I gotten to Holyoke?
No.
Okay. Well, I've been. Holyoke is like a ghost town. You go through it, it's like the strangest thing. They're all boarded up and like big, huge brick buildings. All boarded up.
We got a bunch of those here too.
We do. So, so knowing that the units are the way to go, knowing that 3 families are the way to go, now it simplifies your whole life. It's like, well, I'm going to buy a list, or I'm going to start shopping, or start dialing. Well, I'm just going to dial the 3s, right? If that's what's easiest for me to transact, wholesaling and as an agent. Because here's the other side, the buyers, right? I was in Boston last night. The buyers are telling me, yeah, I'd like to start with a 2-family. I'm like, 2-family? It doesn't even cash flow. Like, why would you start with a 2-family? Because, I don't want to deal with a lot of tenants. No, you do want to deal with a lot of tenants. They pay money. Like,
I find that even on the online real estate groups, everybody's like, a duplex, a duplex, a duplex.
Totally.
It's like the most popular conversation. It's bizarre.
Yes, give her a daps. It is.
Distance, right? Long distance.
Long distance, we got you. But that knowledge is consistent everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, they think a 2-family is an investment property. Just like they think every human being thinks a single family is an investment, right?
It's a liability.
It's a liability. Yeah, he's right. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Good job, man. So everybody thinks that the single family is an investment, and there it is. So everybody thinks that a 2-family is an investment property. They're like, man, if I'm gonna be an investor, you buy 2. No, if you want to be a sucker, if you want to be a sucker who thinks they're doing something in life, the 2 is the first place to go. I bought a 2-family after my 3-family. Only because it was conveniently right next door for $100,000. It was just like the price was right. It was a fire sale, and I did make money on it too.
Yep.
Back in 2014, right? Like the 2-family, I sold it. Ron sold it for me not too long ago for $220. 536 North Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, $220.
Wow.
So it's like, that
That's
made
nice,
sense, right? I made cash flow the whole time I held it, and then 2 years ago, he sold it for me. And it's like,
that's nice.
Yeah. So sometimes 2-families, very rare though. They are the anomaly. They are the exception to the rule. But the 3s you can cash flow on. If you're in Fall River, you're in New Bedford, Worcester's tougher now. Worcester doesn't cash flow the way it used to. So the average home price in Worcester is $380 for a 3-family. Fall River is $310, and New Bedford is $280. So the average sales price, or these are average listing price. The sales price is a little bit lower. The average 3 is selling around $250 in Fall River. So the listing price is far higher in Worcester, but it didn't used to be. They used to run exactly the same. Fall River and Worcester were exactly the same. Same distance to Boston, same concept city-wise, right? Except they have the Palladium, which is cool.
I was just gonna say that.
They do. I go there for concerts, right? But
We have Providence, which is 20 minutes away,
Yeah.
and they have what is Providence?
It's the Strand again.
The Strand.
I don't know. It always changes. It was Lupo's and the Strand before that. I don't know.
Lupo's, yeah, Lupo's the Strand, right? So we have the same kind of demographics. Although Worcester's all condensed,
Yeah.
we have Fall River, New Bedford, Providence,
Mhm.
and that's kind of, it builds the same economy for us down here. So we have these similarities, but Worcester got the train. Worcester got the train about 10 years ago, and they're seeing that result now, and that's what we're looking at in Fall River coming in 3 years is the train here.
Yeah.
So we know in 3 years we're going to get the opportunity to go up in value,
Yeah.
but likely it comes at the same time the market's on a decline. So we'll most likely get an insulation, probably not an increase, but at least like a padding from the situation that's occurring, like globally, not from a local situation, right? So it's one of those pieces. You start looking around. I've done the math in all the cities. I went across all the cities, and in the whole state of Massachusetts. I didn't go to Rhode Island because I live in Mass. I want to stay in Mass, and a lot of our investors do. And one of the things Ron and I looked up the other day, which is cool information, is the highest net worth earners are in Massachusetts and in New York. So if you're already in Massachusetts, it makes sense to stay here because we've already put up with it. We can deal with it. We understand with it. We're tough to it. Rhode Island is not even close. Like they're not even remotely close. I think the highest income earner was 48 million a
Here
year
in Mass.
here in Mass.
Yeah, and then, so this is to get into the 1%.
To get into the 1%
earners,
of the
right?
state.
In Mass, you have to earn 40 million, right? In
12 million was the bottom of the 1%.
yeah.
And then the 0.1% was 48 million.
And then in Rhode Island, the top was 12.
Right.
The bottom was a couple million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the distance was huge.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the things that Rhode Island does very wrong is that they tax Massachusetts for doing deals in Rhode Island. I think it's a 7 or a 9% tax. So if you are a Massachusetts resident and you buy in Rhode Island, you get taxed when you sell that property.
Oh wow.
An additional tax to income tax.
Yeah.
So it's to capital gains and income tax. It's a out-of-state tax. Whereas Massachusetts does not do that, right? So it's if you live in Rhode Island, you buy in Massachusetts, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Same thing if you live in Boston and you've got money and you look at Central Falls, Pawtucket, Woonsocket, or Fall River, New Bedford, Worcester, it makes more sense because on the back side of it, you're not going to lose staying in Mass. Numbers are about the same, but and the taxes are better in Mass than they are in Rhode Island. Rhode Island's higher on the tax. So you look at it, it's like, okay, well, Rhode Island's not an option. Not going to go out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that already fight against it, and it's a little bit of a crooked state, right? it's our fun little neighbor, but Buddy Cianci did his thing over there for a while, so they're still paying for that.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But he did a great job with the city, and did a good job fixing things. But there's also some stuff that he could have cleaned up that he didn't. So we've got Massachusetts. We have Fall River, New Bedford, side by side. Now Worcester way out there.
Yeah.
Springfield way out there. But Springfield doesn't have really the opportunity for growth that the other three spots have, right? We want to stay outside of Boston because Boston's too hot. It's an appreciation market, doesn't cash flow.
Yeah.
So we would like to buy some up there once the cash flow from our other areas can actually support that.
Okay.
But we don't want to make that our first purchase.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't want to have too much of that because one tenant goes, you're paying in $2,000.
Yeah.
Two tenants go, you're paying in $4,000, right? So they're dangerous products to hold unless you're willing to carry that every so often. Okay. And in Boston, you'll find a lot of people who are. There's just those people, they're from there, they want to stay there, they're living in that unit, they're separating the units, they're Airbnb-ing some of their stuff out. Like they found ways to do it, and that's how they're surviving. I like the luxury of I can have my entire whole house paid for by, the two tenants. It's a different strategy down here. So that said, we did the math. Worcester was already at a point where it's probably not going to be where we want it anymore. Brockton's way past that. Brockton's up at 3 families of $450,000 now, and the rents don't justify it. They're at a point where they don't cash flow. So it's like, all right, further down, Fall River made a lot of sense. They had a lot of 6 families, a lot of 3 families, big inventory in the system. Not online, not in MLS, but in the system itself, right? In the structure and infrastructure of the city. So we start looking at that, and then if we ever get past the point where we can't buy anymore in that city, we've capped it out. New Bedford's 15 minutes away. So the same strategy works right there. Same people, same connections, same network, just slide it right over. Same marketing, everything. So that's the reason we look at Fall River. That's the reason we looked at it and we said, this is the city to invest in. There's so much capital here. There's so many reasons. Why go anywhere else? It still works. So at the end of the market, it still works. Well, on the downside of the market, we'll expand to other markets. We'll go out to other places. But during this time, and during that time, we'll expand deeper into this market, doing both the appreciation plays and the cash flow plays. We're really getting deep into cash flow.
Yeah.
So if you're going to spend time, you're going to market one community. After hearing all of this, what's the one community you market?
Fall River.
That's it. 3 families in Fall River.
Yeah.
What else would make sense? You know, pound on 3 families in Fall River, get those things churning and turning, and buy a few, right? Buy a couple. And as you're marketing 3 families, you'll find it's very, 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 very strange. A lot of them own 6s, and a lot of them own, you know, a 10 unit here, or they own a 20 unit there. And you call them on their 3 family, that was probably their first investment.
Yeah.
And if they're ready to let that go, it's a few years later, they're ready to let the bigger ones go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's about building those relationships early on. We run the landlording seminar for the same reason. Build the relationships with the landlords so that when they're ready to go, we know who they're going to talk to. They're coming to us. So it's unique in this city where you don't go and find a 20-unit building, right? You find a guy who owns 20 units across all 3 families and a 6, right? So it's not like you can't just shop them and say, oh yeah, this is the guy with 20 unit, I'm going to buy a 20 unit. The 20 spread, or the 4-year spread. So it's a different way of marketing. But if you're hitting the 3s, you'll eventually connect with those guys. Just out of, you know, you're guaranteed. Here's the deal. There's only 3,000 of them. There's only 3,000 3 families in the city. And they're held by only 1,800 people. So it's like, eventually, you'll know all of them.
Exactly.
And eventually, you'll hit the guys who own a bunch.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a handful that own most of them. 80-20 rule. This help with clarity?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. This is like, if I'm going to work with somebody, we already had this conversation, Alicia, right?
We've had a lot of conversations.
Yeah. How do you service that community? If you can't buy their house today, how do you service that community? Leasing, right? Help them lease their units out. Help them with maintenance, right? You want a couple extra bucks, go and fix something for them, right? Become the maintenance person. When they go to sell, because you're always telling them, hey, look, I'm buying. Yeah, I do maintenance, yeah, I do. And they're going to be like, yeah, of course you buy, right? You're the maintenance person. You're the leasing agent, right? Of course you buy property. Why wouldn't you, right? You're so good at what you do. Like, you're so good at putting tenants in. That's my biggest fear. Or you're so good at doing renovations. That's my biggest fear, right? So if you're in their pocket, like constantly talking to them, saying, hey, yeah, I'm buying property. If you know anybody who wants to buy property, sell property, let me know. Yeah. Here's the thing. It's very strange. Very, very, very strange. The people who own the 3 families not only own a couple other 3 families, they also seem to hang out with people who own 3 families. Just how it is, right? Because that same mindset, eventually your normal friends will say, yeah, why are you doing that on the weekends? Why are you doing all that renovation on the weekends? Why are you dealing with tenants? But the other landlords are like, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, sure, let's hang out and talk about it.
Yeah.
Hold on, you did that with the toilet? What is that?
Yeah.
Let me grab you a beer, hang out for a little bit. Or let's go have a cigar. How did you buy that property? Because I'm looking to buy more, right? So early on, they built a relationship with other people just like them. But they may be at different stages in their lives, where it's like, oh yeah, Joe, he's looking to sell. He's done, right? He's ready to go to Florida. Him and his wife, they're out. Yeah. Well, what about you? You ready to sell? I'm never leaving, right? So it's like, he may never leave, but he knows everybody else who is.
Exactly.
Right? So by being in his pocket, by being the person who, maybe you're the flooring person, or the plumber, or the electrician, or the painter, or the person who just literally does whatever it takes, the landscaper, you're doing them a favor. You're doing something that, and you do it cheap, because in the leasing, right? You do it to the point where they would never go somewhere else. Right? You do it so well, and do it so inexpensive where they would never go somewhere else. Yeah. Because it's not about the money, and it's not about it's not about anything else. How are you? Morning. What's your name?
Meredith.
Meredith?
Yes.
Nice to see you, Meredith.
Thank you.
We friends on Facebook?
Yes.
We should be. We're going to work on that.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm
Same here.
very new.
All right. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Kelly Williams?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Very good. So she just came on too? Excellent. How we doing for time, Ron? 3 minutes.
no.
Excellent. Questions? Where was I?
We were building off of the fact that it's little money in the moment, but you're making connections long term. So, right,
Yes.
you did tenant selection for somebody, great, but now you know that landlord, if he wants to sell the house, you know that tenant, if they want to buy the house, there's a lot more, there's that spider web of networking that you're making in the long run.
And that's the power. And you're making money the whole time. You really are. You're making money the entire time. Learning from the little money that you're pulling from a job or from a rental or from making a connection. Like that little piece is income to get you going. And then when the deal comes across and they're looking to sell their property, obviously they're going to work with you. And then when you're looking to purchase property as an investor, obviously they're going to sell to you first.
Yeah.
Right? It's about building those relationships. For me, with landlords, the way I built relationships is I just give them information. I'm talking about tax strategies. I'm talking about how to purchase the next property. I'm talking about how to, here's my landlord, here's my my property manager, here's my constable, whatever they're looking for. I'm an information connection guy, right? That's how I found value in this industry. So the landlords I hang with are not small landlords, right? In fact, I got a listing from a really good friend of mine, and he just texted me on Facebook and said, hey, can you list this one for me? I want to give you a chance. Been talking to him for months, right? Really impressed with what he's built. He's built quite the portfolio. And another one of my friends, same thing. It's just like this time of the market, they're all aware. They're like, hey, we're at the height. When cash investors pull out, this is the time where most crazy people pull in, right? So for us, we're very cautious what we're buying, very cautious what we're selling, and we're making sure that we're letting all of our landlords know that we've built relationships with for years. We're at the height of the market.
Yeah.
Time to sell. If you're looking to make any moves the next 3 to 4 years, speed up the plan. Right? If you're looking to move to Florida and you want to sell this and buy something there, you might want to sell this and rent for a little while, or you might want to sell this and buy your thing now, because buying a condo will go down in value quite a bit. Absolutely, there's no doubt. But so will this multifamily you're living in right now. And if you can't sell it when you want to go buy that condo, which one's worth more?
Exactly.
Right, if that condo is only worth 100 right now and it drops down being worth 60, you've only lost 40. If this 3-family is worth 300 right now and it drops down the same, how much did I drop? I dropped it 40%. That's 120,000, right? Talking dollar bills. Percentages will stay the same at a drop, but the dollar bills will not stay the same. So it's our moral, ethical duty to educate our sellers and tell them this is where we believe we are. Look, we've been booming since 2009, right? We've been, 2010, right? We kind of did a little scoop, and we've been going up for the past 9 years. What do you think happens after it goes up this much? If somebody told you in 2008, and you had a house like you do right now, in 2008, hey, the market's about to turn. Just heads up, guaranteed, crystal ball, market is about to turn, what do? In most cases, people say they'd sell, because it just makes more sense. It's not about, throwing them some sort of fantasy idea. It's literally, look at the math, look at the trends, go back 10 more years, look at the trends. Everybody thought we were fine, everybody started buying. Cash investors pulled out of the market, and then it turned down. We're in the same spot. So go out there, meet the sellers, be valuable in any way you possibly can. If you're a leasing agent, if you're doing construction, if you're doing any kind of connecting of information with people or knowledge, whatever it is, even if you're not necessarily doing something within the industry, these are just the easiest ways to make money, right? But say you're just hanging out with them. A lot of them, they drink wine. A lot of them, they smoke cigars. A lot of them have, the ethnic whatever they're doing in the city. There's things that they enjoy doing, right? They go to the bar, or they go to the festage, or they go to church, whatever it may be, right? Find out what they do, find out what their schedule is, and be a part of it. Build that relationship. If you have no skills, no trade skills, if you have no ability to lease apartments, at least then just be a decent friend, right? And connect with the people who are sellers, because they're going to need you guys at some point. Hopefully, they do it on the top side of the market and not on the downside of the market.
Yeah.
But at some point, they're going to need somebody to say, yep, I'll connect you to the next person.
Yeah.
I'm going to connect you to the buyer, or I'm going to buy it myself. And in some cases, as investors, you'll see that they actually will sell to you at a discount because they like you. And that's really what you're looking for. People will transact with you just because they like you. And they won't feel bad about it at all. Yesterday, I gave a book away for free because the person on the side of me made me feel really good. So I was like, here you go. Here's a book. She wanted it, and she didn't have the money on her. I was like, well, there you go. reciprocation, right? Now she liked me.
Yep, exactly.
And that's how it works. So with that said, guys, we're doing an event. One of the biggest issues I have I hear from new investors, right? Because we want to work with investment clients. Meredith?
I am actually here for the Ignite class. So.
Oh, excellent. So you're here a little early.
I'm here early, yes,
Cool.
but I'm listening.
Let me tell you the super simple secret to being an agent that makes a lot of money and makes 10 times more what other agents make. Work real estate investors, not home buyers. Home buyers buy every 7 years. Real estate investors buy every year. Difference, right? You don't need as many. So that said, one of the things that people tell me immediately when they talk about investing in real estate is, I don't have the money. I don't know how to get the money. Well, I would buy, first thing they'll ask, why don't you buy tomorrow? Oh, I have the money. Right, first thing they ask, I teach how to get the money. There's no reason, the money is not the reason I'm not buying tomorrow. It is not, right? And it doesn't have to be my own money. It has to be done in a way where you add value to the other people who you're borrowing money from, right? Banks, lenders, whatever they are, hard money, private money, whatever it may be. Sellers, seller financing. So it's not about not having money, it's just you don't know the strategy to collect the money. Even the money you have in your pocket is not yours. It could be mine if I sold you something valuable enough. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's not about, oh, I don't have money. You just don't know how to go get the money from somebody else and add enough value to their lives to put them into to put that money into the property that you want. That's all it is. That's what money is. It's never yours. You never own it. It's just shifting places. It's just moving back and forth. Right? You get a check in and somehow it all goes back out. Maybe some of it you think you're saving it over in the bank, it's just going down in value anyway.
Yep.
Right? One of my favorite things is how much money I owe. Right? We're probably close to $1 million.
No.
I owe $300,000 personally, and then on 2 of my mortgages, and then what do we owe? 250 plus. Oh no,
Yeah,
we're not even close to
160,
no.
yeah.
Oh, we used to be close to.
250,
We used to be well over $1 million in
160,
debt. All right, so, but that say that it's
mortgages.
It's mortgages, but it's debt, right? So that debt goes down in value, not from us paying it, from the dollar going down in value. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Inflation. Inflation makes my debt worth less.
Right.
Whereas appreciation, the value of property and real estate, makes my dollars go up in value. Right? As the buildings are appreciating in value, my dollars go up in value. So it makes. What's up, Marcia? How you doing, girl? You missed our 10 o'clock.
I'm sorry.
No. Okay. I'm glad you're doing Ignite though. It's a good class. You guys will like this. So that said, you want to meet investors. Investors are your long-term strategy. You want to be valuable to them, and you want to get them to the class October 12th called Get the Money. I'm going to teach you guys how to get all the money. It is $100, so bring your friends, tell them, look, pay $100 to never have to worry about $100 ever again. And that is how you're going to turn your buyers who, well, I don't have the money yet, call me in 2 or 3 years and eventually I'll buy. No, like if you have the desire to buy, I can teach you how to get the money. I can make that connection for you, so now all you have to do is go and find the property. And guess who's good at that, right? Our wholesalers, our agents. We can find the property for you. We can't be weak agents anymore saying, or weak investors saying like, oh, well, yeah, you don't have the money, okay, well, call me when you're ready. Call when you get your credit right.
Yeah.
Call when you get your down payment. Credit and down payment are not an issue when you're buying the way we buy. Then you just have to find them a good enough deal to justify buying the way we buy. Right? That's it. That's your job. Right? Go out, help people make money.
Right.
By finding the money for them. Teach them how to get the money. Guide them. Right? The money's out there. There's plenty of money out there. There's no lack of money. If you feel there's a lack of money, go out and look at every person in this room. How much are your cell phone bills, right? How much is your rent? How much is your mortgage, right? Everybody, there's no lack. We're just funneling money everywhere. We're pushing it all over the place, right? For me, the awareness was I was driving down a block and I started looking at all the properties around me and I was like, wow, that one's worth $250,000, that's $250,000, that's $250,000, that's $250,000. And I looked at one block that had 4 houses, like that's $1 million on that side, that's $1 million on that side, and then the block had, another block on it and another block on it, and I was like, dude, there's money everywhere. Like literally, and then I was thinking about all the rents that must have been coming through those buildings. It's just money. It's money in abundance. All you want to do is funnel some your way. That's it. Just funnel it from enough people who you're adding value to. Like Pandora takes that money every month from me. I don't know how they do it. Right? It's just magical. Whoop, it's gone. Amazon Prime, like I don't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, totally worth it. Right? Like I see it in my bill. I'm like, yeah, of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't they take that from me? Right? Obviously. And like it's just. if you can add enough value to people, it's the same thing, right? It's the same exact thing. My tenants don't even question that they got to pay rent. They're like, yeah, there's this whole thing around me here. This makes sense, right? When an agent closes a deal, the part that I take comes out, right? That percentage comes out. When a wholesaler closes a deal and my percentage comes out, they're like, yeah, obviously. Because it just made sense, right? Wouldn't have done the deal without you. It's the same process all the way through. When somebody gets the book, right? I sell the book. It was common sense. It was just like, yeah, like you created something, and as I go through this, there'll be value, right? It makes sense. Sell something worth value. Become valuable to the marketplace, and the marketplace will pay you. That's the secret. Get clarity, get clear about what you want. If you're an investor, if you're a wholesaler, you're an agent, and you want retirement 3 to 5 years from now, focus on the 3-family market. Focus hard on the 3-family market, finding the sellers. The buyers are easy to find, right? I got all the buyers, right? But focus on the 3-family market. Find who they are, help them sell their properties, help them rent their units out, help them fix their units, build that relationship, and eventually you'll focus on a bigger market. But that's the entry level. That's the one where you can build retirement just off of 3 families. What's up, Serge? All right, with that, guys, when you have a choice, always work with the best. www.walteramarello.com. Buy your ticket to get the money now. Cheers. Oh man, I didn't press